Welcome to Dr Joe Unplugged. This podcast contains general information and is not in any way medical advice. How many steps do we need to take each day? How many steps are good for us? The magical number is 10,000, and often people think, if I don't get to 10,000, it's not doing me much good. The good news, in fact, I'd say great news, is that any amount of steps is useful. Yes, the more the merrier, albeit there's a point of we've probably taken it too far. Now, new work, this has been published on the British Journal of Sports Medicine, aims to examine association of daily step count with all-cause mortality and incident cardiovascular disease. So we're talking about heart disease there, by sedentary time levels, and determine if the minimal and optimal number of steps is modified by high sedentary time. Now, they've studied 72,000 participants over a period of about 7 years or so. And the conclusion, and this is the good news, any amount of daily steps above 2,200 per day was associated with lower mortality, which is death, and incidence cardiovascular disease, so lower rates of heart attack risk for low and high sedentary time. Accruing 9,000 to 10,500 steps per day was associated with the lowest mortality risk independent of sedentary time. So really what's that saying is that at above 2,200 steps per day, there is benefit and you're reducing your risk of heart disease, which is really good. At that magical figure of around 10,000, not only are you reducing your risk, but it appears that you're offsetting some of the sedentary time, where at lower levels, there's still a bit of an impact from being sedentary as a separate risk factor. Now again, when we think about human history, for most of human history, we had to be physically active to get through our days. The car was invented about 100 and something years ago. Most people had to walk to work. Most work involved physical labour. Even in the 1960s, there was a figure I heard at a conference some years ago saying that between 1965 and 2010, the number of calories that we're not burning up through the course of the average week through labour-saving devices is the equivalent of 1 day's calorie intake for a human being. It's about 2,000 calories. So this includes things like not having to get up to change the TV channel. You can sit on the couch and press the remote. Not having to get out of your car to open the garage door, and I certainly remember doing that as a kid. And look, that's a good thing. If I drive into the driveway and it's raining and I can press a button rather than have to get out of my car in the rain, look, that's good. That makes my life easier. I'm happy with that. Things like hanging washing on the drying line. Typically, people use a dryer these days. You can even get cut up vegetables at the supermarket. Most of us have dishwashers. So this is all good. This improves our life. It frees up our time. Fantastic. There's never such a thing as a free lunch. So all this incidental movement that we used to get essentially just but getting through our daily life is now gone. So we are more sedentary. And a lot of work these days is sedentary rather than involving physical activity. And obviously a lot of us don't walk to work. Some of us do, and some people are taking up riding their bikes to work. So we need to find some activity in our day. And the human body is designed to be active. And the benefits of exercise, aside from reducing cardiovascular risk in terms of it's good for our bones, it's good for our mental health. We know that people who do regular exercise have lower rates of depression and anxiety. We know exercise is good for stress management. It's good for our digestive system. It's beneficial for our immune system. One of the worst aspects of the thing a few years ago is they stopped you leaving your house and being able to do exercise in gyms or go outside. So, how anybody decided that it was a good idea to stop people doing that, which was beneficial for their mental health and their immune system, well, look, maybe it's a story for another day. But essentially, people also can get, perhaps maybe more correct terminology, can get quite stressed about, am I getting the right amount of steps? And look, 10,000 steps a day is good. It was apparently originally coined by a Japanese firm who was marketing a counter device and therefore promoted this idea of 10,000. You could count them. It's good. They've landed on the right number, as the researchers now said. But if you don't get 10,000 steps every day, you don't need to feel that you're missing out completely. 2,200 a day is a fairly low hurdle to jump over. Really, it'd probably be a walk around a relatively small block. I suppose it depends where you live. More than that is better. Sure, if you can get towards the 10,000, that's good. But if you park at 8,233, don't feel that it's an all or none phenomenon. It's like if I get my 10,000 steps a day, I've done some good. If I don't quite get there, I haven't done myself some good. Any amount above 2,200, which is really quite a low level, is going to be doing you some benefit. And once you hit that sweet spot at between, what was the number? I read it there before, between 9,000 and 10,500, then to use the cliche, you're cooking with gas. Bottom line message out of all of this, exercise is good for us. Any amount is better than nothing. Look to incorporate some exercise in your daily and weekly routine, but also look for incidental movement. Park a bit further from the entrance to the shopping centre. See if you can, get up to change the TV channel. Some TVs don't have a button these days, but see if you can find some incidental movement and incorporate some regular exercise. Any amount is doing you some good. Thanks for listening to Dr. Joe Unplugged. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like and share. You can also follow it on all the socials. There'll be new content uploaded each week.